If you truly want to understand how China became a global powerhouse, don't start with geopolitics. Start with something far smaller: a white ball, a wooden paddle, and a sport that most of the world barely notices: table tennis. Because hidden inside this seemingly simple sport is a blueprint for how the average Chinese citizen serves their nation. And no story brings this truth into sharper focus than the rebellion of one man, Fan Zhendong. You don't need to understand table tennis to grasp this. By the time you hear what he did, you'll understand how a country builds real strength. China dominates world table tennis, and its athletes carry the expectations of a system built on precision and merit. Fan Zhendong grew up in this system. Born in 1997, he rose to world number one, won major titles, and in 2024 claimed Olympic gold in Paris. On paper, his rise was straightforward. But what happened next is what reveals the real meaning of nationalism. In recent years, the global table tennis circuit, run by World Table Tennis, the commercial events arm of the sport, and overseen by the International Table Tennis Federation, its global governing body, began shifting heavily toward commercialization. More tournaments, more appearance points, and a ranking system that rewarded frequent participation almost as much as actual merit. Top players like Fan publicly expressed concerns. They were suddenly expected to play more events simply to protect their ranking, and skipping certain tournaments even triggered fines. The system was drifting away from pure performance and toward participation-based compliance. Most athletes, in most countries, would simply comply, protect the ranking, protect the endorsements, protect the career. That is the safe path. That is the common path. Fan Zhendong chose the opposite. He saw that merit was being traded for commercial scheduling, and he wanted the WTT to feel that pressure. But how does a single player challenge an entire global system? By doing something almost no one else dares to do. Fan walked away. He didn't walk away beaten. He walked away at the peak. His final appearance on the international stage was the WTT Champions Chongqing 2024, held from May 30th to June 3rd. He didn't just win there, he dominated, crushed the field, and lifted the trophy as the undisputed champion. And then, while still at the height of his powers, he vanished from the international circuit. No more WTT events. No more global spotlight. For more than a year and a half, he stayed absent from every WTT competition. And in January 2025, he went further. He removed himself completely from the WTT and ITTF world rankings, and to understand the magnitude of the sacrifice he made, you must know this: reaching world number one is not an accident. It is the outcome of a lifetime of disciplined training that begins in childhood. Chinese table tennis players enter specialized sports schools long before they even understand what winning means. They grow up in a system where greatness is forged through endless repetitions, bruised palms, and lost childhoods. To reach the summit takes years of unforgiving routine. To remain there takes even more. So to walk away from it purely to make a statement takes a different kind of courage. Most athletes cling to their position until their last breath of form. Fan Zhendong, instead, chose principle over fame and fortune. And if you think that's the end of the story, stay with this video. Because what happened next is one of the most dramatic moments in modern sports. It turned the entire WTT system on its head. Many assumed stepping away meant stepping down. Because in modern sport, once you vanish from the global ranking screen, you cease to exist. Algorithms forget you, commentators stop mentioning you, and the world moves on. Fan, however, never stopped training. He stayed silent, steady, sharpening his game away from the spotlight. Then came the 2025 Chinese National Games in November, an arena that cares nothing for international rankings, algorithms, or WTT politics. And on that stage, Fan Zhendong delivered a message the world could not ignore. In the semifinal, he took down Wang Chuqin, the reigning world #1. In the final, he dismantled Lin Shidong, the world #2. Imagine that for a moment. An unranked player, a man erased from the global table tennis map, defeating the top 2 players on the planet in a single tournament. In one stroke, Fan made world table tennis look small in front of the Chinese system, which still runs on merit. His victory reminded the world that true excellence doesn't fade just because you step out of the spotlight. And it is precisely this kind of action, quiet, principled, impossible to ignore, that earns a nation real respect. Step outside the table tennis hall, and you'll find the same spirit pulsing through every corner of Chinese society. It echoes through China's rise in science, technology, manufacturing, and innovation. Thousands of Chinese students who built careers in the West, in Silicon Valley firms, research labs, world-class universities, eventually returned home. Not because it was safer, but because contributing to China's future meant more to them than climbing Western corporate ladders. They brought back skills, networks, patents, and experience. They seeded new industries, new companies, and new laboratories. This is how China transformed from the world's factory into one of the world's most formidable innovation hubs. It is home to Huawei, a global giant in telecom and 5G technology. BYD, now one of the world's largest electric vehicle manufacturers. DJI, the company that dominates the global drone market. Lenovo, a top PC and hardware brand. Tencent and Alibaba, which reshaped digital payments, e-commerce, and online ecosystems, and newer AI powerhouses like DeepSeek, pushing the boundaries of frontier technology. None of this happened through slogans. It happened because millions of individuals chose long-term national strength over short-term personal gains. They honored the standards of their own nation instead of waiting for outside approval. And this is the part the West often misunderstands. Nations compete with policies, alliances, sanctions, and strategies. But China advances through a force that is harder to contain: the quiet, disciplined loyalty of its people. It is a cultural current that moves silently and relentlessly, from sports halls to laboratories, from factories to research institutes. Any attempt to counter China geopolitically without understanding this internal engine is like treating the symptoms while ignoring the source. If the world wants to understand China's ascent, it must first understand the spirit behind it. Thank you for watching Whispering Peepal. In today's episode, we explored the ideas, forces, and mindsets shaping our world. If you enjoy thought-provoking insights on history, politics, and society, subscribe now and join the conversation. And if this video gave you a new perspective, do like it, share it, and help us reach more curious minds.